Hey, welcome to Capture, Convert, Close. I'm your host, Althea Hurst, broker, real estate educator, and someone who genuinely loves breaking this business down in a way that actually makes sense. This podcast is for real estate agents and entrepreneurs who want real strategy. We're talking lead generation, systems, mindset, money, and how to build a business that works directly for you, not the other way around. If you're ready to get clear, get confident, and close with intention, you're in the right place. Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. It's I out there, Hurst, and today, managing broker of all of real estate. If you're new here, just know that I have ADHD, but I still go on, right? But today we are going to be talking about Instagram in 2026 and what realtors should be doing on Instagram in 2026, especially if you actually want leads. So I have a question for you. And before we even jump into this, I say if you actually kind of want leads, because some people business do thrive off of Instagram, right? But then we have some agents who are like, hey, I really want to get into social media. I really want to get into TikTok, and they just haven't really found their footing. And then you have other agents who's like, listen, I've already built my business. I really don't need the social media channel. But either way, I want to ask a question to you, and I want for you to be honest about this. And the question is this: if Instagram just happened to disappear tomorrow, would your business slow down? Would you just stop and give up? How would your business respond? How would you respond? How would people find you? Are your systems talking to these people? Are you owning that audience? Or do you think your business would just completely fall apart? Let's talk about that. Those are some questions that I really want for you to ponder on. And if your stomach dropped a little bit, I want you to stay here with me. And if your stomach did not drop a little bit, I still want you to stay here with me, because I want to talk to you guys about how Instagram is no longer a nice to have thing for realtors no more, right? I want to talk to you about why it's no longer nice to have, and why, not why, but what you should be doing as it relates to Instagram. Because Instagram, one, is not about branding. I mean, we see a lot of different brands online and we're like, oh, I need to build my brand, right? Then you get caught up on building the brand. Instagram, two, is not about aesthetics. You see all the pretty posts and you're like, oh, I need the perfect camera in order to make this work, right? It's not about that either. And it's also not about going viral. So if you're thinking to yourself, I just need that one good video, that one good reel, and I'll be good. It's also not about that either, because how many people are viral and can't sell a t-shirt? So if you got people that has 100 million followers, 2 million followers, and they go viral consistently, but they can't sell a t-shirt, what make you think one viral post is going to help you sell a house, right? We have to be real about this and understand that social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, whichever platform you desire to show up on, it's an infrastructure. That's what it is. It's truly an infrastructure. Now, in this podcast episode, I'm really dedicating it towards Instagram. However, you may hear me mention a few other platforms as well. But let's get back into that. Instagram and all the other social media platforms truly are what I would consider an infrastructure. And most agents are using it like it's a highlight reel instead of a business tool that fits perfectly for your business toolkit, a business tool that you can go in and use as a screwdriver, a flathead, or a drill, whichever you may need, just to kind of give yourself a little bit more exposure, a little bit more eyes on you. But instead of you guys using it as a tool, you're using it as a highlight reel, as if it's just something pretty to look at for the moment. So today with that, I want to break down exactly what realtors should be doing on Instagram in 2026 if you want to build true visibility, true trust, and real leads, not just likes, because our likes don't equal our closings. Okay. Because if that was the case, one post would have us 50 closings, right? Our likes don't equal our closings, and our likes also don't equal our income. So first, the algorithm has changed. The algorithm has changed like it always does, but nobody told realtors the truth about it. Nobody has told agents what is really happening with the algorithm in 2026 as it relates to Instagram. So let me clear this up a little bit. Instagram in 2026 is not rewarding you for anything. They're not rewarding you for perfect graphics. So if you thought you had to take the perfect photo with the expensive camera, you do not. They're not rewarding you for generic home tips. So for all my people that just like to post one static post with a home tip on it and go about their day, they're not rewarding it, and they may not even publish it. It'll be on your page, yes, but it may not actually go to your audience. And just to kind of put a plug in it here, keep in mind that you don't own your visibility as it relates to Instagram. So if you don't own your visibility, that means in order for you to be visible, you have to play their game. You can't play your game and then get on Instagram, right? You have to play their game, okay? So Instagram is not rewarding your perfect graphics. They're not going to be rewarding your generic home tips. They're not going to be rewarding you chasing after every single trend, because they done seen too many people do that. They're not going to be rewarding you for over hashtagging, because at one point, if you put 30 hashtags in your post, it will help you get visibility, help you be seen. No more. Okay. They're also not rewarding robotic captions. So if they sense that your caption was pretty much generated by AI and it does not even sound human, boom, it's putting you to the bottom. Okay. But what it is going to reward is signals. Okay. Instagram is really paying attention to how many people are saving your posts, how many people are sharing your posts. They're paying attention to how long are people actually watching your videos, which would be considered your watch time. They're looking at how many people are truly replying to your posts, your stories, and slash or your DMs. And they're also looking at your DM conversations. How quickly are you responding to these messages? And the reason why they're doing that, because Instagram's game plan, try saying that fast, in 2026 is to keep everybody on the app. Now, I know that doesn't sound good or feel good, because as I sit here and say it, I'm like shaking my eyes I said shaking my eyes, Lord Jesus, shaking my head with my eyes closed, because I'm like, this is horrible, right? Like, we are already addicted to our phones, and a lot of us are already addicted to social media. We do not need for the actual platform to have a game plan goal to keep us on the app that we're already on too much longer, right? But that's the goal. The goal is that they want people on the app at all times, right? And they want them on the app for longer times. So if someone saves your post, that tells Instagram that you're giving out really good content and that they can come back to it and that they desire to come back to it, and that's why they saved it, right? If they share your post, that tells Instagram like, hey, this person is showcasing something that I like and I love and is helping me build relationships. Let me send this to somebody that I know, like, love, and trust, right? They're watching your watch time, of course, because the longer the person watches your post, the longer they stay on the app, which again ultimately helps Instagram reach their goal. They're looking at your replies, because not only do they want your audience on the app, but they want you on the app too. They want you there. So because they want you there, they're also looking to see how quickly are you replying. And I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but even here recently, they now have like a little caption over top of your actual comments, and it'll say something around like, hey, if you respond within the next 2 days or something, you will get a better reach. So they're already kind of letting us know what they are looking for from us, right? And they're also looking at your DM conversations, because how many people are actually DMing you, how long is it taking you to respond, and how often are you having these conversations. Again, the more you converse in the app, the longer you're on the app, and their goal is for what? For you to be on the app, for you and your audience to be on the app. So Instagram is no longer about aesthetics, and it's no longer about how pretty your post actually looks. It's not about that no longer. Okay. So if your content looks good, but it's not getting saved, it's not getting shared, it's not being responded to, then unfortunately it's invisible to Instagram. It's invisible to Instagram. It's also invisible to your audience. And if you want visibility, you have to play by their rules. So what does this mean for realtors? Listen up. This means, one, your job is not to post more. Your job is to post more useful. Okay. This does not mean that you get on Instagram and you post 3 times a day just because. No. If you make a post, make sure that it's a useful post. Make sure that's an intentional post that is going to meet Instagram's goal. Okay. Next, realtors need to stop posting for other realtors. And this is where I'm going to be very, very direct, right? Because I see this all the time where a lot of realtors post is for other realtors, right? Like the content is relatable to other realtors and you're not marketing, you're networking. And I don't think a lot of agents notice that. And this is why it's so important for you to know who your ideal client is. And when I'm training and coaching my agents, I typically let them know, like, we start there. Who is your ideal client? And let's build that out, because now we can build out your messaging pillar. And when we build out your messaging pillar, it's going to directly match who you desire to attract. But if you don't have that ideal client created or that ideal client avatar crafted, then you're just kind of talking to any and everybody, which extensionally means you're talking to no one. But if you're not careful, a lot of your content will be relatable to the agents and not to your audience. And now you're not marketing, you're networking. And then you're sitting around like, I get a lot of agents responding to my stuff. I get a lot of agents DM me, but I'm waiting for, that perfect buyer or that perfect seller. I'm not really getting it right now. And it's likely because your content is not relatable to them. And networking, unfortunately, doesn't always pay our bills. Does it sometimes? Yes. If you have a referral-based business and that's really how you're building your business in this industry, I know a lot of agents who are great at doing that. But if that's not your goal, then this type of networking is not going to pay your bills. So in 2026, a high-performing realtor content will speak directly to, one, a buyer's confusion. That's answering all the questions that they have. How much is their down payment? What are the upfront fees that they need? Should they get an inspection? What's the earnest money deposit? What happens if their appraisal comes in low? Can they purchase a property with a spouse? Should they purchase a property with a spouse? Now, I'll tell you guys right now, that's like a very, very popular topic. So address buyer confusion. You can also address seller fears, like, what happens if you sell your home and you have nowhere to go? Will you be homeless? When does the money hit your account? Can you use that same money to purchase another property? Will your credit score drop? All of those things speaks directly to your client. The money questions, like anything revolving around money, is always going to draw in attraction. Most people, even if you think about yourself and how you consume, most of the time you're going to say, just tell me what the bottom line is. What's the number? That's all I want. Just get to the point. The attention span of folks nowadays is very, very, very short. And a lot of us lack patience, and they don't want to have to beat around a bush to get to the direct answer. They just want to know, how much do I need, right? So the money questions is always a hit when it comes down to trying to build your content on social media. Also, the timing hesitation, having that conversation, because a lot of sellers and buyers, their biggest fear is it the right time? So the timing hesitation is also a really good angle to talk about on social media in order to build that following and build that visibility. So when you're doing this, don't have that energy of, hey, I don't want to mess this up, right? You don't want to have that energy, because that's going to stop you from posting completely. I talk to a lot of agents all the time who are always like, hey, I know this information and I know what I know, but I'm scared to put it out there and mess it up, because what if I say something wrong, right? You don't want to have that energy. That's not the type of energy that you want to go into social media with in 2026. I pretty much say this: at the end of the day, people don't know what they don't know. So whatever you say is going to be golden, right? And if you know what you know, say what you know. And if you make a mistake or if you misspeak, it's okay for you to show yourself human and come back and say, hey, listen, I made a post the other day where I said XYZ. However, I misspoke and I want to correct it. And this is what I want to say now. It's totally, totally fine. But don't enter into 2026 with that, I don't want to mess this up energy, okay? Because people don't follow realtors because they love houses, which some of them do, because you have some people who will say, hey, listen, I'm gonna follow this agent because they do so many house tours and I just love looking at houses. But most people follow realtors because they want clarity. And they want clarity because the home buying process, the home selling process is just so confusing and complex for the average consumer, for the average buyer, for the average seller. And regardless if they've done it once before, twice before, three times before, even if they had family, they still don't understand, mainly because they haven't even understood the part that everybody's process is different. They can't even grasp that, right? So because they don't understand, they follow because they want clarity. So before you post in 2026, ask yourself, would my ideal client save this post? If they will not, I need for you to go back and rewrite it. Period. Okay. Uh, the three content pillars realtors need in 2026. Okay. There are three types of content pillars that you want to focus on. If you remember nothing else, remember this. High performing realtors Instagram accounts in 2026 are built on three pillars. One is the decision making content. This helps people make sense of big choices. Okay. So any two times that you can help a person make a decision in 2026, you are winning because people are decision fatigue. People are tired of being sold to. People just need help and leadership, and they need somebody to just tell them, what is it that I need to do? Okay. So what does that look like? That means that you could say something like, here's why waiting for rates could actually cost you more. Okay. Help them make that big choice. Another one would be what sellers don't realize about pricing in this market. Another one could be the real reason your offer keeps getting rejected. Okay. This gets content saved because it's helping them make a decision, and it's also educating them with their biggest fears. Okay. Another one is process transparency. And I really should have put this one as number one, because unfortunately in our market, in our industry, and I can honestly even just put a plug here and just say, y'all, we got to stop it. Okay. We post to make it seem like the process is just absolutely easy and there is nothing that can possibly happen. That I've seen posts before that really grinds my gears that are like, if you got a 580 credit score, you can buy a house. There was a recent article that went out about, I believe it was FHA, and they were saying that they were now removing the credit score requirement in order to purchase a property, etc. And I saw so many agents posting about it, and I was just so disappointed because a lot of these agents didn't even know what they were talking about. They were just posting something that they saw somebody else post without any knowledge or transparency. And it literally, truly just set the wrong tone for the market, for the industry, for the clients, for the audience. It just set the wrong tone in general, because now you have people like, well, I saw someone say that you don't even need a credit score no more. Tell me about that. I'm ready to purchase a house right now. And it's like, hey, now we got to break down the entire process and be transparent and let them know, hey, listen, that's what the headlines say. But remember, it's always some fine print. And the headlines may say you don't need a credit score no longer to purchase a property, but in reality, you still do. And if your credit score really is not at that 620 or even at 640 mark, likely the lender is going to get what we call a refer, and they're going to tell you need to improve your credit. So with that being said, you still want to aim for at least a 640, right? That's the part that's not being discussed. So we need to be transparent about the process and know that people don't trust what they don't understand. So if they're not understanding this, they're not going to trust it. And if they have a misunderstanding of it and you try to help them understand, they're still not going to trust it. So what that means is that what happens when an offer is accepted, you talk about that in its true transparency. Okay. What a buyer consultation actually covers, you talk about that in this true transparency. How closings really go, talk about that in its true transparency. You can show the good, you can show the bad, you can show the ones that are a little bit sticky because it might be going through a divorce situation. You can even talk about the ones that have fell through on the day of closing. Okay. You can talk about also what can delay a transaction. I feel like that's a common question that I get as it relates to home buying and home selling. Like, what could possibly happen? And I always tell my clients, like, I could probably name 100,000 things that can happen in a transaction, right? Uh, so being able to just be transparent about that, that's the type of content that will truly build that confidence and trust, and that's what your audience really want. And then of course, too, human authority. This is where a lot of agents mess up as well, because authority doesn't come from sounding polished; it comes from sounding experienced. And I would like to use me as an example, right? Even if you made it to this mark, we're like 19 minutes in, right? I don't think I sound the most polished all the time. I mess up my words. I mispronounce words. I stumble over my words. My mind moves really fast. I'm very transparent and open about the fact that I battle with ADHD. And a lot of times my brain just moves faster than my words can come out, right? But I've accepted it, and I'm okay with the fact that I may not always sound polished. I may not always have the biggest word, or I may also put the wrong word in a sentence, and I might know what I'm talking about, and my audience might be looking like, girl, but they understand that that's who I am. They see me for who I am. I showcase it because I'm proud of who I am. But what they also know is that whatever I'm going to tell them comes from sounding experience, and they trust it. They trust it because I'm transparent. They trust it because I am real, and they trust it because they know that I've done my research and I have that experience. So your authority is not going to come from you sounding extremely polished. So if you're that agent that's like, hey, I need the perfect video, I need the perfect aesthetics, I need the perfect camera, I need the perfect everything, you're going to look too perfect, and perfect doesn't exist. So if you're coming off that way, people are going to be like, wait a minute, this just does not sound too good. So you have to be experienced. You have to sound experienced. You don't necessarily have to sound polished. So what does that look like? Meaning you could share a post about lessons that you've learned as an agent, things that you learned in the business. You can share a post about mistakes clients almost made, or even mistakes that you have made. You can share something about what surprised you this week, or something that you've learned this week. And you can also share real conversations that you've had with clients without breaking confidentiality. Like, all of that type of content creates connection, and you don't want to miss out on that. Okay. Now let's talk about why your saves matter more than likes. And I believe I touched on this a little bit too, but likes are passive, saves are intentional. Let's just save that there. Likes are passive, saves are intentional. As I was saying before, Instagram's main goal is to keep everyone, including yourself, on the app. So if somebody saves your post, they're telling Instagram that this post matters. I'll come back to this post, and I trust this post. So in 2026, Instagram is pushing content that becomes a resource, not entertainment. Okay. So not saying that they're getting away from people dancing around on Instagram, but you're dancing and you're pointing at the screen may not be what gets you visibility in 2026. Okay. So it's the content that gets saved. So let's think about what's going to be being saved, right? We have checklists that can be saved. We have step-by-step explanations that can be saved, and you can put these in carousel posts. If you're thinking about buying or selling, read this, right? That could be a safe post. Market clarity, what's happening in your market, what's happening in that zip code. Financial breakdowns. Remember, I was telling you guys, money drives emotion. Money will keep people saving. They just want to know the bottom line. So financial breakdowns will be good. And also timeline expectations. If you could do a carousel post on timelines for new construction, or timelines to purchase once your lease is up, all of that content is savable. But if your content isn't savable, it's forgettable, and it's also, I don't know if this is a word, but it's also not pushable for Instagram. So what does that mean? Pushable meaning that Instagram's not going to push it forward because it's not savable. Okay. And reels as well. Reels are about depth now, not about just the trends. Okay. So what most realtors haven't caught up on yet is that Instagram is now leaning into longer form reels. So we know that the attention span of people is extremely short. And if you ask me, I feel like social media contributed to that, because at one point, especially here in 2025, those 7 seconds, 10 seconds, 15-second reels were the ones that were grabbing all the attention, getting a lot of loop replays, and making people go viral. But now, because again, I told you guys that Instagram's goal is to keep everybody on the app longer, including yourself, they are now leaning into longer form reels. So some of you may have access to this now, and then some of you may not. But Instagram is now releasing a feature where your reel can be freaking 20 minutes long. 20 minutes long. 20 minutes long. So with that being said, they are no longer looking for the 7 seconds. They're no longer looking for the trending audio, and they're also not looking for all of the dancing. But if your reel is 60 seconds, you're winning. If your reel is 90 seconds, you're winning. If your reel is a 3 to 5 minute breakdown, you are winning. Why? Because that watch time equals trust. That watch time equals visibility, and that watch time keeps people on the app, and keeping people on the app is the goal for Instagram. You help them reach their goal. Okay. So what you should be doing on Instagram as you use Reels in 2026 is teaching a one concept deeply. So you can teach about the earnest money deposit deeply. What does that mean? How's the acronym? How is it relatable? You can answer one real question. Like if somebody asks a question, you can answer that one real question. You can do a walkthrough scenario of something. All of that will be great. So keep in mind that slow content converts better than fast content in 2026. Can I say that again? And I'm going to slow myself down because my brain is moving fast again. Slow content converts better than fast content in 2026. I hope that you heard me clearly. If not, I'm going to say it one more time. Slow content converts better than fast content in 2026. Okay, let's talk about stories. Now, for your Instagram stories, you still want to make sure that you are posting in your stories every day. Now, I will say this every day or at least every other day, because another trick to boost your visibility on Instagram is that if you post in your stories, let your stories delay for 24 hours. So that means you post in the stories, you keep the story up there. Don't go back and delete it, right? Keep the story up there, let it expire because all of your stories are only 24 hours long. And once that story expires, you should have no stories in your stories. That's how you say that, right? No stories in your stories. Then after that 24-hour expiration, you post a new story. Okay. So that's just a little bit tip, just so that way if you wanted to kind of increase your visibility just a little bit more. But stories, you want to be in them daily, and you also want to keep in mind that this is where the sales happen, because your posts will build your trust, but your stories will build the relationships in 2026. So your posts build trust because your posts will be pushed to them on Instagram's timing. We don't know when they're going to show your post to your audience, but your stories build relationships because they're pretty much spontaneous and in the flow. And in your stories, people typically reply to them. People typically ask you questions. People typically will DM you quietly. If you use it correctly and add in some polls and some stickers, all of that helps you build trust. Not only that, all of that helps Instagram reach their goal with people staying on the app. Okay. So in 2026, realtors should be using their stories to talk through their thoughts. You got 60 seconds, get it out, right? Share your daily stories, or at least every other day. Do frequently asked questions. Show your behind the scenes work, whether you're at closing, if you're showing the house, you're at an inspection, if you're sitting down having an admin day, show that. And the goal for your stories is not to be perfect. You should not look perfect in your stories. The goal is to be consistent. If you look perfect in your stories, you're going to the bottom. Okay. So you don't need to be entertaining in your stories. You just need to be present. This is where you truly show yourself real. Truly show yourself real. All right. Next, the goal is conversations, not viral lifestyle. Okay. So let's reframe success. A viral video with no DM does nothing. I just told you guys earlier that there are people with millions of followers who can't sell a t-shirt, right? A small post that starts 5 conversations builds a pipeline. So keep that in your back of your mind. A viral video with no DMs is doing nothing for you. Yeah, you might get some views, a little bit of eyes on you for the moment, but it's doing nothing. But a small post that starts at minimum 5 conversations build a pipeline. So in 2026, the algorithm really favors interaction depth, not the audience size. So for all of my people that are like, hey, listen, Instagram just doesn't work for me. My audience isn't growing. I feel like I'm a small creator. creator. I just don't know if this is it. In 2026, Instagram is truly favoring the interaction depth and not the audience size. So your call to action on your post should always be, hey, reply if this helped. DM me if this sounds like you. Save this for later, okay? You all can see that I did not say, click the link in my bio, because we're getting away from that in 2026 too. You know why? Because if you tell somebody to click the link in your bio, you are directing them to do what? Leave Instagram. And if you are directing them to leave Instagram, you are no longer playing by Instagram's rule or goals, which is to keep people on the app longer. So if you tell someone, hey, click the link on my bio, which is then going to redirect them to another website that's not Instagram, Instagram's going to say, whoop, nope, you going to the bottom because I don't want nobody clicking your link, okay? So keep in mind that your goal is you're not trying to go viral. Your goal is that you're trying to be remembered. That's it. You're just simply trying to be remembered. You're simply trying to build trust, and you're simply just trying to be saved. All right. So let's talk about what a simple weekly content structure could look like for you. Okay. So here's a rhythm that I think would be good, right? A week. Okay. So maybe 2 reels. One that's educational or decision making, or both. You could do 2 educational reels or 2 decision making reels, or one of each. So 1 educational, 1 decision making. Then you need to do 1 carousel post, and that carousel, again, this is your savable content. This is you giving something of value that makes them say, oh, I need to come back to this, right? And then stories, most days, at least every day or every other day. These need to be as human as possible, as real as possible, and it's best to do these behind the scenes. That's it. That's it. And keep in mind that your consistency will beat creativity every single time. So you do not have to be perfect. You do not have to have a bunch of transitions. If you follow me on Instagram, I highly recommend you do. I have over 50,000 followers. So trust me, I know what I'm talking about. And if you look at my videos, you will not see a bunch of transitions. I do not have a professional camera. I do all of my videos on my iPhone, and I have a little tripod that I may have paid $20 for. There is no fancy setup. It's just done. Done better than perfect, and consistency beats creativity every single time. All right, so if this episode has shifted how you see Instagram, that was the point of this. That was the whole point of this. 2026 is not about doing more. It's about doing what works. And if you want help building content that actually converts and positions you as the go-to realtor, not just another realtor online, feel free to ask me a question, shoot me a DM, send me an email. You can follow me on Instagram at I am out there hers, and the link will also be in the description. And of course, if you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area and you're looking for a broker who cares about you and your business, think about joining Arla. So come contact me. All right. And I'll love to educate you on what we have to offer. And of course, lastly, send this episode to an agent who's still posting like we're in 2020, but don't tell them I said that. But if you know someone that's an agent that kind of needs a little bit of advice on going in on social media, going into 2026, definitely send this to them, because the market has changed and your marketing needs to change with it. All right, you guys, talk to you soon. I'll see you all, or talk to you all in the next podcast. Before you go, remember this: you don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things consistently. Thank you for spending time with me. If this episode spoke to you, share it, save it, and come back for the next one. I'm out there hers, and you've been listening to Capture, Convert, Close.